Throne of Eldraine may just be the chosen one, the one to push back the darkness and usher in a new light era of glorious magic. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. Today, we are here to talk about a set that is quickly growing on me. Honestly, the more I think about this set and what it represents, the happier I get. This set is beautiful both for what it is and what it is not. For someone like me who started the game all the way back in 1994, this set shows so much promise. I genuinely hope that this ushers in a new era of sets of this style for Magic the Gathering. Now, we are taking a departure from recent times. Lately, what we've been dealing with is the endless saga of the Gatewatch. We have all the Gatewatch members, and they are just like, hey, look at me, here we go again, let's follow the Gatewatch. The last number of years of Magic have been follow the Gatewatch here, follow the Gatewatch there, follow the Gatewatch here, follow the Gatewatch there. That's really what it's boiled down to pretty much across the board. Now, the reason that they've done this is very obvious. When you look at things like the Avengers and their huge sprawling cinematic universe, they have shown, hey, look at this. You can take these characters, tell like a long story arc with all these stories in between, and be successful at it. And I mean, the truth is, yes, the Avengers have been fairly successful with their cinematic universe, but a number of other cinematic universes have flared out and disappeared very quickly. So Wizards of the Coast were creating their own cardboard universe, story universe, however you want to look at it. They were going down the same route. Now, the problem with this is it starts to feel stagnant. It's always like, okay, we're going to follow this very select group of planeswalkers, and we're going to go from plane to plane to plane. And you know you're following them. You know they're going to win. They're going to win every time. Every single time they're going to win. So it's like, okay, where are we going with the Gatewatch this time, and who are they going to defeat? And that's what it is over and over and over. And along came War of the Spark, where it's like, okay, now we're going to build into this culmination, the end game. I mean, they even called it Dragon's End Game for the product. They try and say in articles, we're not doing the Marvel thing. And it's like, come on. You're doing the Marvel thing. We all know you're doing the Marvel thing. And it makes sense because having familiar faces that you can sell over and over, it works. People like particular planeswalkers, the signature spell books and things like that sell. People get invested in particular planeswalkers. But the problem is, from a story perspective, it gets incredibly dull. When I started, Magic was more disparate with what you would get. Like, sure, the original Brothers War story kind of surfaced where you had Alpha, Beta, Unlimited or whatever, and it had like some mentions of Urza and Mishra, you know, like Ankh of Mishra, Urza's glasses, all this kind of stuff. And you've got that in Antiquities as well, where Antiquities was very much focused on the story of the Brothers War. You had Arabian Nights though, and Arabian Nights came before Antiquities, and what did that have to do with the Brothers War? Nothing. It was just a Aladdin-esque world, 1,000 days and nights of Arabia kind of thing, right? That's the flavor they had behind it. They had the Brothers War for Antiquities, and then Legends came along. Now, Legends, honestly, for me, that's where my heart is. I absolutely love, you know what, in fact, I love Legends so much, let's put Pixie Queen. Let's put Pixie Queen here up on the screen. Take a look at this beauty. Quentin Hoover, his artwork is amazing. So Pixie Queen, an absolutely beautiful card from Legends. But what Legends was, it was a whole bunch of stuff. Instead of like, sure, you can give your set like an overall storyline, and Legends had kind of a storyline to it, but overall, all the cards were like individual stories. Every card was its own story. You look at Pixie Queen, she's a Pixie Queen, basically like the leader of the Pixies, who can grant flying to other beings. So you could picture her just using her magic, bam, get pixie dusted, and you're flying up in the air. And the flavor is all contained in that one card. And it doesn't matter if it ties into the story or whatever. It was all encapsulated in that one card. A lot of the legendary cards from Legends, which actually is where they introduced Legends in the first place, a lot of those legendary cards were just based on people's Dungeons and Dragons characters. So everyone had very different flavor, and some of them had no abilities even. They just had a big old chunk of flavor text in there. But either way, every card felt like its own story in Legends, or at least the majority of them. There may have been a few cards where you just go, okay, this maybe like a glyph you play on a wall or something. Not so much a whole story in a card. But there were a lot of cards that had their own individual story, as opposed to everything being part of the Gatewatch narrative. And Legends also had this situation where the art style would wildly vary from card to card. When you look at newer sets like Kaladesh, Amonkhet, Ravnica, all the cards from these worlds tend to have a very homogeneous feel. I mean, there are exceptions in each set, but the variety, like the majority of the cards that we see are all the same. Like it's like they like Amonkhet especially. A lot of the artwork felt very samey. Take one, throw in another. It's all the same difference. They all blend together and they lose character that way. Now, Throne of Eldraine is coming along, and it is going, you know what? We're going to do one set. So we're not doing a block with multiple sets where we go 1, 2, 3, and it all tells a big, long story. No. We're visiting this plane as a one-shot. So all of a sudden, we don't have to worry about a big overarching story. Next, we take a look at the Gatewatch problem. Okay, we're tired of the Gatewatch. Because Wizards of the Coast was told, hey, we're tired of the Gatewatch before. And that's why they actually dialed it back with Ixalan and were just like, we hear you're tired of the Gatewatch, so we're only going to make you follow part of the Gatewatch. And it's like, guys, come on. Really? Really? Come on. So, we enter Throne of Eldraine. And what do we see? There's 3 Planeswalkers for this set. That, from the information we've been given, there's 3 Planeswalkers. Now, 2 of them, we already know, are the Kenrith twins, right? So we got Will and Rowan Kenrith. And then we have a 3rd Planeswalker who's a new character. What does that mean? That means no Gatewatch. We're not being forced to tag along with the Gatewatch. And this is something I brought up a number of times on my channel in a bunch of different videos, talking about how the Gatewatch, unfortunately, are boring 2-dimensional characters and being forced to follow them in a multiverse with endless planes of existence where you can go to all these different places. It just doesn't feel very good. It just feels very, very stilted and 2-dimensional and boring. We're just the tag-along gang. Now, with Throne of Eldraine, it feels like we're going to explore a brand new plane. And not with an agenda. Not, oh, we've got to follow the Gatewatch to this plane because they have to find item X to stop Nicol Bolas, or they have to do this to stop the Eldrazi. It's just, we're just going to Eldraine. That's what's going on. It feels right now like all we're doing is we're just going to explore Eldraine. And it feels similar in some ways to the innovation sets where you get something that's outside of the norm. Like when they did Conspiracy, for example. Conspiracy was set like in the high city of Paliano and whatever. And it didn't feel tied into the Gatewatch. It felt like something new to explore. And they had their own political intrigues and things going on just keyed into their world that has nothing to do with the Gatewatch's greater struggle or anything like that. So Eldraine is giving the same feel. Will and Rowan will be there. And we've only seen Will and Rowan with, what was it, Battle Bond. That was the name of the set they were in. And that was just, these are 2 of the twins that fight in Colosseum battles. So we're going to have a chance, ideally, to explore a little bit of the back history of these Planeswalkers, but hopefully it also won't focus too massively on them. I understand that we're never going to get sets without Planeswalkers. Planeswalkers sell packs, plus they like pushing the power level of Planeswalkers to get them out into the standard environment to sell packs that way as well. That's not going to change. We're going to continue to be in that world. There are certain inevitabilities of Wizards of the Coast business model, but I can accept that. I mean, you want to sell cards, people like Planeswalkers. I like Planeswalkers. My problem was I was bored of seeing the same Planeswalkers over and over and over. And even after leaving War of the Spark, we go to Core 2020, and what is it? Check it out, it's Chandra growing up, and it's like, you already did this. You guys already did this with Origins, where you had all the flip Planeswalkers, where you had them before they were Planeswalker and flipping. So it felt like they're going back to the well. It felt very, very stagnant and boring, in all honesty. So Throne of Eldraine, on the heels of that, actually feels incredibly fresh. not only are we not following the Gatewatch, but we also have a scenario where it looks like not everything has to be connected into the giant overarching story of the set. The theme behind Throne of Eldraine is that it's fairy tale adventures basically brought to life. So, for example, we'll put Rapunzel up here, and let me just step over here to the side so you can truly appreciate the beauty of this work. Howard Lyon knocked it out of the park here. She is this is Rapunzel. This is straight up a play on Rapunzel. She's got the long flowing like orangish reddish hair, right? And she's letting these little petals drift off into the wind as she just kind of looks out, half forlorn and half full of hope. You wonder what's on her mind, but she looks like a beautiful princess, honestly. It's got an old fantasy feel to it. The artwork is incredible. And there's a whole bunch of different cards that are like that. I plan to do a video going over all of the artwork that we have seen so far from Throne of Eldraine because it's amazing. It gets me so hyped. And I'm even willing to forgive a little bit of the more goofy stuff that feels almost like it doesn't belong in Magic in terms of like the gingerbread man and the gingerbread house, because it's very whimsical. The flavor behind the set is the whole fairy tale thing, so it all makes sense. But it comes together where it feels like each card is just going to be its own individual story. There may be a few things connected here or there, but overall, it's like a collection of a bunch of different tales. This set really, really, really makes me think of the old school Legend set from back in the day, and that makes me incredibly happy. Not following the Gatewatch, not having every card tie into a big overarching conflict that we have to be subsumed into, because that's the thing too, we're always, as planeswalkers, we're always in the middle of some big battle for the entire fate of the multiverse. And it's like, what about just enjoying being a planeswalker? What about a summer vacation where you just go, you know what, I'm going to go and enjoy the sight, see some beautiful things, and just soak up the majesty of the multiverse. And that's what Throne of Eldraine is bringing to the table. The whole storybook concept, the individual cards where it doesn't have to just, it doesn't feel like the same like cranking the handle, working the assembly line like brick by brick magic that they've been giving us for a long time. I'm looking forward, going forwards, to seeing more individual sets with individual character. This to be honest, I do genuinely feel like they're going to take us straight back to the Gatewatch after this. So there is still, I think that this is a step in the right direction, my friends. And I'm genuinely hoping that going forwards, they do more like this, because this it feels more innovative at this point. Instead of having it all tied together into, oh, this is just another set in the long battle of Bolas versus the Gatewatch, or whatever big enemy we're going to have to watch the Gatewatch fight for the next year or two, whatever they're planning to do. This feels like a fantastic breather. And if I had my way, this is how it would actually be done most of the time going forwards. Let us explore a new world. Let us meet new planeswalkers, make new friends, fall in love with brand new characters, and that will actually make other planeswalkers feel more special when we see them again. If we know we're going to see them set after set after set, you lose that sort of like the whimsy of feeling like you're in a gigantic multiverse where anything is possible, and you just feel like you're going somewhere where it's just your coworkers and you see them all the time. Hey, what's up, Jace? Is the coffee maker broken? What'd you do for the weekend? That kind of a feeling. It feels very mundane and less magical. When you have a massive universe, a multiverse to explore, why would you always follow the same characters over and over? It's dull from the perspective of somebody who enjoys all the variety that Magic has to offer. So the artwork for Eldraine is absolutely incredible. It feels special. The cards feel differentiated from each other. So it's going to give Throne of Eldraine a distinctive profile in terms of Magic sets. It's not going to meld in with the other Magic sets. The fact that you have all these tiny little stories happening on the cards is going to allow people to fall in love with individual cards as well. Now, we don't know what kind of overall themes or mechanics that we're going to get. I mean, we do know the theme of the fairy tales, but in terms of like gameplay mechanics and things like that, we don't know how they're going to go. But that stuff isn't actually as important to me as the flavor, because they're obviously going to make mechanically suitable cards. They've been making these cards for decades, right? So when it comes to crafting a reasonable draft environment, when it comes to coming up with the new big rares and stuff, I know there will be exciting stuff in terms of what the cards actually do. But the skin, the way that they look and feel, is something that really matters to people like me. And Throne of Eldraine is promising a lot right now with what it's coming out of the gates with. So I look forward to seeing whatever else is coming along with this set. I genuinely, as I said before, this is the set I've been most excited for at least a decade. I was hyped about Dominaria, but I'm actually way more hyped about Throne of Eldraine. I wanted to get every little detail that I can. So my friends, I'm interested to know what you guys think of Throne of Eldraine. Does it tickle you the same way that it tickles me? Or do you not really care about the flavor and the art? And you're just like, I don't care, man. I just want to know about the mechanics. I don't even care if they just do the little goat stick figures on the cards. I'd still play them because I know we're all different. So let me know what you think in the comments. Big shout out to all my patrons and channel members. Yesterday, I was actually able to meet up with one of my fans, and he brought his kid along. So remember, my friends.
Together we're the sixth power of magic.